step into a new realm. Welcome to Realms of Healing with your host, Akashic Intuitive, Gabriel llhewellyn-ari.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Realms of Healing. I am your host, Gabriel llhewellyn-ari. Oh, it's been such a lovely week. I hope I hope that your week has been wonderful. And I know I was listening to Lizzie B. Love's show this morning, and she was saying that there's a lot of solar action and solar flares happening right now. So I wish you a glorious week thus far, and a wonderful week next week too. And yes, we're back here for another edition of Realms of Healing. Today I'm so excited. We are talking about the awakening of love, becoming a leader in the light in the world. And this is something that's really close and near and dear to my heart, and I'm really excited to share with you. So we're changing the format a little bit on this show from this episode on. We'll just have a message, and then we'll have a meditation at the end. So stay tuned. There's lots of good stuff. Including creating a mission statement. We're going to do that for you, for your life. We're going to help you to create a mission statement and steps that you can take to get there, and talk about the awakening of love and what I think that means and all this good stuff. So stay tuned. It's going to be a great show. In fact, it already is a great show. So as many of you know, I have been so busy with Realmz Radio. I have been working my little tail off to bring this wonderful radio station to you guys, and really it's been a labor of love. I have loved every minute. There's definitely been some challenges for me, but I have grown so much from creating this and running this still, and loving it, and we have so many new and amazing things planned. We have in the next 3 weeks or so, we have about 5 new shows debuting, and we have a lot more people interested in being a show host. So we have a lot of new things. We have our show Storytellers is going to debut, where people share their profound transformational stories of how they basically came out of chaos and transformed their lives, which I'm really excited about. We have our new show called Revolutionary Romance, which is starting in February, so next month. Actually, by the time you listen to this, it will be February, because it is the last day of January today. So yes, we have Revolutionary Romance, which is really cool. We have myself, a relationship coach, Tail, and my dear friend and partner in crime, Lizzie Rose. And we are going to be talking about love, and we're going to each be an ambassador for the different ways that you can love. So one person's, Teal is going to represent the straight community. I'm going to represent the gay male community. My friend Lizzie's going to represent the lesbian community, and we're going to have our first guest co-host next on the next show after the first one, Kasha, who's going to represent the straight female side of things. So everyone can learn. So, and we have more shows. I won't share them all now, but just lots of exciting things happening right now and in the world. You know, our world is really changing, and we are ascending faster than sometimes we can keep up with. So, yes, lots of good, glorious, and delicious things happening out in the world. So I want to talk now about, I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story that involves our topic today, which is the awakening of love. And this story is my own personal journey to get there, and I'm going to share that to you in about 10 minutes or so. So, sit back and relax and just enjoy. So, as many of you know, I am from Minnesota, which is a lovely state, which is located in the northern United States, and it is quite cold, but it is a lovely state to grow up in. And growing up, I had always felt like I wanted to be more expressive of love, or I wanted to be more authentic with myself and people and just show love more. And I was actually kind of heavily criticized for that as a kid. I remember being teased just because I was so free with being loving, and just where I was from, the Midwest, just wasn't maybe the the perfect canvas to paint that picture on, but it's all good. So then I eventually moved out to California, San Francisco Bay Area, and immediately felt at home. A lot of people were like me, very, very much about their heart and love, but I still didn't really know anybody. And in fact, I was living in the peninsula area of the San Francisco Bay Area, which is just south of San Francisco. And I was really feeling like I wanted to have some community. I didn't know what that meant at that point in my life, but I was wanting to have a lot of people around me. So then I moved to a different part of the Bay Area, and I found this place called Cafe Gratitude. And a lot of you have heard me talk about this place before, but it is the catalyst. It was my catalyst in having my own awakening. So, and I had heard of this place called Cafe Gratitude when I was in Minnesota. And just to give you a brief description, Cafe Gratitude is a place where, gosh, everything on the menu is an affirmation. So if you order an I am fulfilled, you'll get a big salad, and you have to say I am fulfilled. And then when they hand you your salad, they say you are fulfilled, or whatever it is. You are whole. You are grace. You are grateful. And so it's a restaurant that's disguised, or it's a school of transformation disguised as a restaurant. That's what it's known as here. And so you can go there and basically practice in kind of a real world way how to look at your life in a positive format and how to really change your life. And everything that happens at this restaurant is designed for that. They even have a board game that you can play, which is really fun. You can actually purchase the board game on cafegratitude.com, and they have amazing books. They lead amazing workshops. The people who started it, Matthew and Terces Engelhardt. It's just a wonderful addition to this planet, and I'm really excited to see that Cafe Gratitude is really spreading, and I think they're opening up cafes in Kansas City, and I think they're planning on opening one in South Carolina somewhere. So the people that I have met at Cafe Gratitude are just world class, of course, because they're really committed to transformation and helping the world, helping the planet, so it's wonderful. So and I had heard this all about Cafe Gratitude before I even got to California. So I get to California. What is the first place I go when I get to San Francisco? You guessed it, I went to Cafe Gratitude in Berkeley. That was the first place I stopped, and man, it was just an amazing experience. I sat down at the bar, and this server, who I'm now really good friends with, said, "Welcome to Cafe Gratitude. Have you been here before?" And I got to say, "Nope, I never have been here before." And she said, "Oh, okay." "Well, I have a question for you." And I said, "Sure, what's that?" And she said, "What are you grateful for?" I didn't know this woman. I had exchanged but a few words for me, and she point blank got straight to my heart and said, "What are you grateful for?" And so I actually said, "For being here in Cafe Gratitude, and for you asking me that question, and there's so much in my life, but right now I'm just so grateful to be here and actually talking to you about this. This is amazing, and I just met you. And she said, this happens all the time here. This is a place where it's safe. It's safe to ask those kind of questions, and it's actually encouraged. It's encouraged. If I want to ask a question like that, it's really encouraged that I do so. And so I had a really beautiful first experience of Cafe Gratitude. It was just wonderful. And then after that, at some point I moved actually near a Cafe Gratitude, and so I started going there all the time, and I would eat there a lot. And and by the way, it's a vegan cafe, and so there's no dairy, there's no meat, and there's no eggs in any of the food, and there's no soy either, and it's all organic, and they have raw dishes. So if you're someone that likes to eat a lot of raw living food, that's the place to go, Cafe Gratitude. But they also have cooked food too, and really delicious, glorious things, and amazing desserts. You would not believe that a raw dessert can be better than cake, but I'm telling you, it is. In fact, I don't even want cake anymore. If I want a dessert, I want like the raw cashew cheesecake or whatever it is. Or they make tiramisu. That is the best tiramisu I've ever had, hands down, ever. And it's made out of nuts and all this stuff. It's pretty incredible what they can do with raw food. Definitely don't miss. We're definitely not missing out, that's for sure. But I began to go there a lot and eat there. But what I got more so than eating there was I started to get into this community of people who are committed to transformation in their lives, living it as a lifestyle. And so I eventually got into a spiritual community at a mystery school where I was learning all these psychic techniques, and I saw a lot of the gratitude people there, and we kind of became friends. And pretty soon they were saying, you should work at Cafe Gratitude, there's an opening. So I applied, got in right away, and I started working at Cafe Gratitude. And I worked there for about a year, and it was the most transformational time of my life. And I learned all about who I am as a person, who I am as a leader, what I'm here to do through constant, really, when you think about it, 7 or 8 hours a day of being around intentional people, being in an intentional environment, and working in a place that is requesting that I work that way, like keeping me accountable when I want to maybe be more practical or things like that. But so I learned through all that experience of working in this place what love is and what a community is. That's probably the biggest thing that I learned. I learned what the word community actually is to have. I've never been with a group of people where it felt instantly like family. They were instantly inviting me over to all of their events, and so much love and so much intention in everything, and the presence of all these people is just incredible. I couldn't even believe it was happening, but it really was. So now I know if I ever need something, if I need to drive to a place where one of these people is living, or if I see them on the street, or if I see a message from them on Facebook, it's like they are my family for the rest of my life. And I feel that way about all of the Cafe Gratitude community, and they feel that way about everyone else. It's the coolest thing I've ever experienced, hands down. It's amazing. It's like I can meet someone who's a part of the Cafe Gratitude community and not really know them, but have an instant rapport with them. Absolutely instant. And so it's I know that no matter what happens, this community will support me. This community that I am such an integral part of now. I still do readings at the cafe. I do intuitive readings there now instead of working there. I work out of there, but for myself. And I know that this community will support me in becoming the leader in the awakening of love that I am. And so, Yeah. It's a very powerful thing, having a community, having an intentional community like that, because that they really call you out on your stuff and make you and pretty much force you to have integrity with yourself, and force you to say yes to yourself into your life. So, thanks for listening to that story, guys. Before we start talking about the awakening of love and what exactly that is and what that looks like for you, we are going to go into our message of the week right here. So enjoy, and I will talk to you soon. There is no greater force in the universe than love. Everything was created in and through the divine supremacy of love. This, of course, includes you. You have been supremely created to simply love. In your life, the most important thing you can do is to simply love. It ripples across the entire planet. With waves and waves of grace. The most important thing you can do is love. And welcome back. I hope that you enjoyed that message, our message of the week here on Realms of Healing. And so now I'm going to be talking about our topic, which is, of course, the awakening of love. I just realized that this whole show is really the message of the week. That was I asked, what am I supposed to talk about? What is the message of the week? So this whole show, the awakening of love, is really the message of the week. So now, yes, we're going to talk about the awakening of love. And I want to start off with telling you another story, not about myself actually, but one that I heard that was so moving to me. I heard it. I went to a workshop over the weekend by the founders of Cafe Gratitude, Matthew and Teresi's Engelhart, and the workshop was called Kindred Spirit, Relationship as a Path of Awakening, and it was really profound. And Matthew shared this story that I'm going to share with you, which was really inspiring to me about our show topic today. So this story, I don't know when it happened, but it happened sometime last century in the 1900s, and it involves Mother Teresa, and it also involves a spiritual teacher who I can't remember the name of right now, who's a very famous spiritual teacher. And this spiritual teacher was going to stay with Mother Teresa. And the spiritual teacher was helping Mother Teresa care for the sick, and helping, just being, of course, very compassionate, like all of us would be around people who are ill, who are sick physically. And there came a time in the stay that this spiritual teacher was there, when these very, very, very rich Indian, or I actually don't know where they were from, but they were very rich people who came to see Mother Teresa, and they flew in on their jet, and they had all this money, and they walked in, and they were being very, very rude and just kind of demeaning people, and basically ordering Mother Teresa around. And this spiritual teacher was basically in disgust and profound anger at these men ordering Mother Teresa around, and she's watching in horror as Mother Teresa is beckoning to their every call, is getting them everything they need, getting them tea and biscuits and all this stuff while they order Mother Teresa around. Later on, after the men leave, the spiritual teacher asks Mother Teresa, "Why did you do that? Why did you give those men who were being so rude to you such great service?" And that's when she said, "When you were helping me earlier with the sick, you had compassion for them. They were physically sick. These men that came to see me were spiritually sick. They were ill in their spirit. And so why would you deny compassion and love for someone who is sick? You wouldn't do that if they were physically sick, yet you would do that if they were mentally or spiritually sick." When I heard that story, that immediately put my whole life in perspective. I thought, wow, yeah, I actually do that. All right, I did that. We'll put it in the past tense. I did that. I did that with my family members, my biological family members, who I don't really have a speaking relationship right now with. Because they were so spiritually ill, I couldn't be around them, or so I thought. And I was angry at them for not having their stuff together so that I could be in their life. Instead of saying, wow, they're sick. They're really sick. And that's really sad. That's really sad that they're that sick. And I want to have compassion for that. Absolutely. So when you hear that story, think about how, if you haven't already, how that relates to your own life. And how you can relate that into your own life. Who is the person? Who are the group of people? Who in your life have you been denying love to for one reason or another? This is what we're talking about. We're talking about here on this show today. We're talking about the awakening of love. And this is where it begins. Love and compassion in my world are the same thing. When we talk about self-love, you hear that a lot on Realmz Radio. We talk a lot about self-love. Lizzie B. Love is all about self-love. What helps clarify what that means, or how it looks, or how it shows up in my life, or how I do that to myself, I call that compassion. I call that self-compassion. That's being humble. It's being humble to myself. And of course, love can come in a lot of different ways. In the English language, we only have one word to describe a lot of different things. And I'm not going to go into that, but we all know that you can say I love you and mean it platonically, or you can say I love you and mean it romantically, or it gets confusing. But when I think about compassion, when I think about having self-compassion or compassion towards others, that's really love. That's really holding the seat of love, which we're going to talk about later on. And so basically what the awakening of love is, it is what I believe it is. I'll say what I believe. I believe that the awakening of love is really also the awakening of the truth and the expression of your truth and the expression of my truth, fully owned and fully seen, because whatever you believe, whatever you believe doesn't matter, which isn't absolutely true. I just wanted to make it funny. What I believe, let's just say that, what I believe is that we're all love. I believe that's all we are. Everything else is an illusion. That's what's... look, you can look up the quotes in A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles probably has 1,000 different quotes basically saying that the only thing that's real is love. Everything else is an illusion. If you're feeling judgmental, if you're feeling angry, those are all human emotions, and we don't want to dismiss them. But they're not real. You are creating that. And that gets tricky when we get to take responsibility for what we do in our life. You know, that can get very triggering for people, but that can also be an opening for you. So and the awakening of love is also about our life's purpose, because when really love truly awakens in our heart, in your heart, in my heart, you can't help but be on the right path. You just can't. You can't help it. If that's all you do in this lifetime is just be love, you are doing the most sacred service possible. Absolutely. You are helping the world more than you could ever do writing a book or anything like that. Now, if you're being love and you're writing books and you're doing all that stuff, hey, wow, that's like a supernova. But if all you do in your life right now, without changing anything, is you just be love, what would love do? What would love do in this situation? My mother's yelling at me on the phone about something that I know truthfully might not fully matter. But what would love do? What would love say? What would love say in this moment? I'm going to be that. I'm going to be that. I'm going to be the place for it. In the workshop over the weekend, Matthew and Chircy said all the time, either you are being love or you want love. There's no middle ground. There's no in between. And of course, when we're wanting love, that's when we're in our ego mind. We're in our monkey mind, if you will. And we're not really truthfully expressed, because when we're being love, that's who we truly are, at least I believe. That's who we truly are. When we're being love, when we're holding the space for love in every area of our life, especially when we want to not do that, that's when miracles happen. Think about your life. And even if you just picked one area of your life, like your job or your intimate relationship or your health or whatever it is, if you could just be love in that area of your life 90% of the time, what would it look like? Can you even imagine? It would probably be so different. And who knows, maybe you're being love a lot and that's great, and hey, more power to you. I bow to you and I commend you for being a warrior of love. And a lot of us nowadays, we tend to forget that. I know I have forgotten it a lot in my life, and a lot in my adult life when I did know about it. So again, it really gets you on your path. Like, if you're not supposed to be in a certain relationship and you're being love, and you're continually being love, you'll just continually really feel like, I'm not supposed to be with this person, and you know, I see the beautiful being that you are, you could say to them, but then say, I'm feeling like I've got to go over here. And then you meet this other partner who's great and is being love, or your health. What would that look like if you're being love in your health? My mind right now is even having a difficult time wrapping around what does that mean. I don't know, for me. So it really gets you on your path. Love does, the path of love. And another thing is that love is courageous. It's bold. When we're being love, we're not afraid to say something. We're not afraid to say the things that we know we need to say, because we're going to say them with love. Love and fear cannot exist in the same place. Therefore, if you are being love, you can't be fearful. You can't. It's impossible. That doesn't mean that you won't be afraid ever, unless you're really good at holding the seat of love. But the reason that we have fear is so that we can remember love, so that we can come back to love. The reason that we forget is so that we can remember. It's the expansion and contraction consciousness that permeates everything. We have to contract before we can expand. We have to sometimes get fearful before we can remember how to love. Or we have to go in our ego before we can fully remember our spirit. That's the purpose of it all. That's why we have egos. That's why we experience fears, so that we can grow. Otherwise, we'd never grow. We'd be happy, but it would be kind of boring. So now I want to ask you a question. Are you a leader in the awakening of love? And if not, do you want that responsibility? When I heard this term from Cafe Gratitude, this awakening of love was brought about by Cafe Gratitude by going to the workshop this weekend. That they have a leadership program, and in their leadership program they talk about being a leader in the awakening of love. And I just thought, ever since I've heard that, I've thought, wow, that's me, man. I am a leader in the awakening of love. That is what I'm doing. That is what I'm here to do. And I'm awakening love within myself, and I'm awakening love in other people. That is what I'm here to do. Use me, Spirit. But my question to you is, are you a leader? Are you a leader in the awakening of love? Does that resonate for you? If it does, I want to challenge you to rise up. I want to challenge you to stand up. I want you to play a bigger game than you've been playing. Because if that statement resonates with you, I am a leader in the awakening of love, you have got something absolutely vital to offer the world. And I'm here today, you are listening to me right now, because I am supposed to tell you that you need to take action. We've got to get on this. The world is waiting for you, and it won't be able to reach its full potential unless you choose yours. Unless I choose mine. Breathe on that. Breathe on that. The world cannot reach its full potential unless I reach mine. Unless you reach yours. So, personally, this is what I believe. I believe we are all leaders in the awakening of love. And that the reason that resonates with everyone is because we're all that. And it's those who claim it. It's those who say yes and go off running with it. Those are the people we admire. Think about the people you idolize. Think about the people that you get inspired by. Those are people who have felt to some extent that they are a leader in some form or another in helping humanity, helping the world in some way remember their truth. And they didn't give up. They didn't throw in the towel. They wanted to play a bigger game. They were action-oriented. And they went out and they did it. They stuck with their commitment, and they weren't afraid. Well, that's I meant they weren't afraid to take action. Doesn't mean they weren't afraid of what people would think about them. They weren't afraid about how they would be perceived. Absolutely not. Of course, they were probably really scared. But in that battle between choosing fear, choosing love, they chose love. They chose love. They chose to remember to awaken to love. They kept their goal on that. They would say, oh, you know what, I'm scared, but this is what I'm going to do. This is my mission. This is what I'm here to do today. And I'm going to do it. Not someone else. I am going to do it. So, I'm here to tell you that you are a leader, and I believe in you. and I'm not going to let you forget it. And that's what this show, that's what Realmz Radio, that's what so many of us are doing in our lives, is we are really just here to help you to remember your truth. You know? That's it. Nothing more. Nothing more. So, now the question is, do you want that responsibility? Do you want to be a leader when those moments show up and you want to just stop? You want to just say, "Oh, you know what? I don't really care about this. Like, I'm just going to get back into my egotistical banter of conversing with my mom because she's yelling at me." When I'm talking about being a leader in the awakening of love, it's holding that seat in those moments when you don't want to. Because when you choose that, and I'm not trying to deter you, but when you choose that, you get a lot of opportunities to prove it to yourself. And it's going to be, it was for me so challenging, and it still is. In fact, sometimes when I choose this path of being a leader in the awakening of love, I actually experience greater depths of betrayal, or greater things, greater circumstances where I get to learn how to hold the seat of love in that circumstance, when I really commit to that. So yeah, this is not an easy path. But if it's resonating within you, you've got something to offer. You've got something to offer, and I'm here to tell you that you can do it. Let's do it together. Join me. Join me right now. If you are willing to be a leader in the awakening of love, just close your eyes, take a breath, and join us right now in this circle around the world. This etheric circle of light workers and love workers. That's what I'm going to call us. We are love workers all around the world. Whether you're listening to this live or broadcast or download or whatever, this is timeless. And so just tap in and hold our hands. Hold our hands and feel our energy. We are going to change the world. And if you want to be a leader in the awakening of love, please join us. We will support you. We will be here for you. Absolutely. Now and forevermore. And so it is. That was awesome. Well, didn't plan that one. So now I want to actually talk about. A very crucial and necessary step about being a leader in the awakening of love, which we just experienced etherically. And that is transformation and community. And preferably if you can have them together. So when I was telling you guys all about my Cafe Gratitude experience and how the community of these transformational people was so powerful because someone was always holding the seat of love, always. So it was just like being around love all the time and being reminded that I'm love and there's just love everywhere, all the time. It feels great. So creating a community around yourself of people like that, of people who want that same thing, or finding a community. There is a community somewhere, I guarantee. Even if you're on the outskirts and you don't know barely any people, just have that intention. It will create itself because it's vital. You have to have a community. Check out our Realmz Radio Facebook page and look at all the people who've liked it. Those are all people just like you who believe in a lot of the same stuff you do and want to love. Check out the people on Doreen Virtue's Facebook page, or go to the Hay House I Can Do It events, or really any workshop. They're everywhere. There's people everywhere. And if this is something that's in your heart that you want to be a leader in the awakening of love, you absolutely need a community. You need support, because you're going to get tested. Trust me, you're going to get tested. So that's absolutely vital. It's absolutely vital. So that's your first bit of homework, if you choose to accept that. This week is to if you don't have a community, take one action step to getting one. Now, I want to talk about mission statements, which is something that is so crucial. It's so important to the awakening of love, or really just the awakening of your truth and being a leader in that. It's so crucial that you have a personal mission statement for whatever it is that you're supposed to do here on planet Earth, or whatever it is that you feel like you're supposed to do, even if you don't know. It helps to give direction. Every successful business has a mission statement to come back to. It's a place where, when you are in those moments of ego and fear, it's a reference point that you can quickly access to get you back on the path of what you're here to do. Okay? So I want to read to you Cafe Gratitude's mission statement. So I told you all about Cafe Gratitude in the beginning of the show. Here's their mission statement. Listen to this. Cafe Gratitude is our expression of a world of plenty. Our food and people are a celebration of our aliveness. We select the finest organic ingredients to honor the earth and ourselves, as we are one and the same. We support local farmers, sustainable agriculture, and environmentally friendly products. Our food is prepared with love. We invite you to step inside and enjoy being someone that chooses loving your life, adoring yourself, accepting the world, being generous and grateful every day, and experience being provided for. Have fun and enjoy being nourished. Welcome to Cafe Gratitude. Now, when you go to Cafe Gratitude, that's the experience that most people experience. It's that same experience. And so a mission statement is so important for you. And so what I want you to do right now, if you haven't already, is I want you to get something to write with and something to write on. I want you to start looking for it. I'm going to give you a little bit of a couple minutes to get that all ready, and because we're going to create a mission statement for you right here on this show. So please go find a pen and paper. And while you're doing that, I'm going to actually read to you my mission statement that I came up with. Now, there's 3 parts to a mission statement, or at least this is how I wrote mine. I actually didn't do any research about like how to write a mission statement, so I'm sure there's a bunch of amazing stuff that you can learn online right now about that. But I'm just going to share with you what has helped me create my own mission statement. So first of all, there's a quality of being. So think about, how do you want to be in the world? Whatever that is. And write down a few things that come to your mind. Okay? Now think about how. Not the how of how you're going to do that, like I'm going to write a book, but how your action is going to be taken out. Is it going to be gently? Is it going to be powerfully? Is it going to be lovingly? And last, but certainly not least, think about who is your mission for. Of course it's for you, but is it for the world? Is it for women? Is it for people who don't believe in themselves? So then write that down. And so what you have with those three things, those things that you've written down, is basically the start of a mission statement, because it's going to evolve. It's going to evolve. And so this basically says what you want to be, how you want to be it, and who you're being it for. So let me read to you my mission statement that I've created for myself. And I chose to create my mission statement in the present tense in the form of an affirmation, which I highly encourage you to do, but you definitely don't need to do it that way. So here's my mission statement. I am a wild and creative expression through authentic and bold action. Every action I take, every word I speak, and every thought I think is love being courageously expressed through me in the world. So my who am I being is I am a wild creative expression. Because that's me. I'm wild and I'm creative. And I want to express myself. I want to share. How I am doing that is through authentic and bold action. I'm not going to be afraid to do something, and it's going to be true. It's going to be my own truth with that. Okay. Then lastly, the last line, who I'm doing it for, is I am everything that I'm doing is being love courageously expressed to the world. So I'm doing it for the entire planet. For the animals, for the plants, for the people, everything I do is for the world. So that's my who, okay? And so I would love for you to play around with this week and really get your mission statement so that it really it kind of fires you up, that it's something that you feel really excited about. It really brings you back to yourself in those moments where you might forget who you are. So and again, this is the first step in being a leader in the awakening of love, is really knowing why. Well, knowing how you're going to do something, knowing who you're going to do it for, and how you're going to do it. And so it gives you direction, it gives you purpose, it gives you focus, it helps you to, again, really just remember who you are. And so I had more things to talk about on the show, but we're kind of running out of time here today. But I also encourage you this week to think about what are some steps that are in alignment with that mission statement. So, like, for example, when I thought about my mission statement, being a wild and creative expression through authentic and bold action to the world, what came up for me was, gosh, I want to express love to everyone authentically. Like I just want to be love all the time. Okay? I'm just going to be Mr. Love everywhere I go, right? That came up for me. I also want to start a dance troupe. That's an authentic, wild expression of my authentic and bold action, because I love to dance. And I want to write a book, and I want to smile more, and I want to always hold the seed of love. That's what I really have come to, and that's a step for me, and that's going to be a continual, evolving step that I will continue to learn, I'm sure. And so yes, if you choose to accept, your homework this week is A, if you don't have a community yet, to think about how can you get a community. I don't know. But you do. B, create and or refine your mission statement. Your mission statement for life, including the who you're doing it for, how you're going to do it, and what you're being. And then C, writing down some steps. Maybe let's do 5 steps that you can commit to doing in some form or another at some point, or maybe even giving yourself a time limit. Maybe by next week, hey, let's do that. 5 steps that you can take towards being a leader in the awakening of love by next week. So 1 week from today, whenever you're listening to this, if you can commit to that, I will hold you to it. One way or another, the universe is going to sneak up on you and remind you that you didn't do it, and remind you that you didn't do it. So I was just sending out some good assertive and integrity juju out to everyone, out to you right now listening. So so thank you so much for that. So now, everyone, we're going to move into our meditation. And so I just really invite you to sit back, relax, open your mind and your heart, letting go of what happened to you today, what you got to do, just letting it go. Being here, being present right now. And so taking a deep breath in, breathing all the way to the ends of the limbs of your body. Breathing life, prana, spirit. So many words for the same thing. Love. Breathing in love. Allowing the love you feel in your heart to begin to pulse outward. Enchanting your being with pure divine grace. Overflowing. Feeling your heart space expand to encompassing your entire auric field. Breathing in. Feeling connection with Source. You visualize, however it comes to you, a ray of light. A connection between Source and Spirit in your heart. You feel an electricity take over your body. As if something is being awakened. In your heart, you feel it convulsing. You feel this magical opening. A glorious return. An ancient embrace. And a divine remembrance. Who you really are. You've always been this. You've always been love. That's who you are. And that's who everyone else is. Heart space swirl. You feel your emotions emotions come up as you remember your divine truth. In the midst of the sea, you are the oasis. In the center of the storm, you are the calm. For one cannot exist without the other. You remember your light. And thus, the light of all humans and all beings in the universe. You extend this love, this light outward to all beings on the planet in a sacred energetic matrix that touches everything, everyone, and every energy. You feel your connection, you feel your oneness, you feel there is no separation. You feel this love flowing through you, in and out, moving through your body, through your space, through your hands, through your head, through every part of your being. Your heart is remembering who you are. That's all. This is why you're here. You're here to love. You're here to be one with everything and everyone. Pouring forth from your being gratitude. Gratitude flows. It flows out to everything. It flows to me. It flows to all the other people listening to this radio show on live or rebroadcast. Because love knows no bounds. Give your gratitude. Give your gratitude. Praise and thanks to Creator and all that is. This moment, in this moment, you are enlightened. This is what it is. This is what spiritual teachers have been talking about for thousands of years. And they all taught this. That you are but a part of the whole. And therefore you cannot be separate. It is impossible. It is impossible. Sending your love forth, sending it out, giving thanks to all that is. Coming back to your being. Thanking Creator and yourself as they are one in the same. It's really all we need to remember, isn't it? All I am is love. Nothing more. Nothing less. And as love, nothing can threaten me. Nothing from without can touch the perfect life of love within me. I take dominion. Love takes dominion in my life. I am whole. I am perfect. I am complete. And so it is. Ashe and Amen. I am so humbled and so grateful for you. I love you. And I know who you are. And I thank you for being a leader in the awakening of love with me. If you'd like to find out more information about me, please go to realmzofhealing.com. Again, that's realmzofhealing.com. REALMZ of healing.com. I look forward to our time next week. In the meantime, go out there and be the leader that you are. The world is waiting for you.
Realmz Radio, where spirit rocks.